I think that it's okay to make mistakes, but there's some mistakes that will just take you all the way back and will just delay you in life. Some mistakes you make in your career will really slow you down. And if you can avoid doing the things that I'm going to speak about in this video, I think you're going to be set in terms of your career and life in general. I want to talk about 5 mistakes that I made in my career when I was starting out, mistakes that I hope nobody else has to go through. Before we get into it, if it's your first time seeing this face, my name is Nicole Nyasha. I'm a certified professional recruiter based in Canada, and I share career-related content. The first mistake that I made in my career when I was in my 20s was being married to one company. I got a job right out of university, and I just had the mindset that this company had done me a favor because I was living in a country where, for the most part, it was really difficult to get a job as a foreign student. So I stayed in that organization even though I wasn't paid well, even though I didn't really feel developed or challenged mentally. I still stayed there because I felt like, you know what, I need to stay in this organization. I need to grow in this company. I need to get to manager level, director level. I need to keep on progressing in this one company because they took a chance on me. And then when I got to Canada, I made the same mistake all over again. I got a job within 2 weeks of my arrival, and I was so happy. And again, I felt like, oh my goodness, this company took a chance on me. I had no Canadian experience and they hired me. And so I need to stick with them. I need to stay in this organization, even though they didn't really pay me that well. I don't want you to get me wrong. Staying with one company, if you're getting everything that you need, is a great thing. If you're getting a great salary, if you're getting great benefits, if you're getting the growth, the challenge that you need to develop yourself in terms of your career, and you're growing, you're getting the support you need, then by all means stay in that organization. But if you're in an organization where, you know, certain parameters are not being met, you're not making enough money to take care of your lifestyle, you're not growing, you're not being challenged, then there's no reason why you should feel obliged to stay with that organization. And so because I stayed in these organizations for so long and, you know, felt like I was married to them, I also kind of was stagnant in terms of my income. I started making good money much later after I'd taken the bold steps to move. So my first job, I started making good money after I had left that job and moved on to something else. And then when I came to Canada, I was making okay money, but I only started making good money once I made the decision to leave that organization. Because obviously, if you stay in one company, you can only make so much more because your income increases are limited to that organization's policies, whether it's the end of year review and whatever percentage you're going to get. But if you leave from one company to another, you can literally move from making $50,000, for example, to making $80,000. But if you're staying in one organization like I did for so long, your income growth is really kind of stagnant. And so my advice to the younger me is don't feel stuck in one company because they took a chance on you when, you know, you graduated from school, or a company that took a chance on you because you just came to Canada. You don't owe them anything. You were working to get paid. But I'll also add that you should take calculated risks. Don't just move around for the sake of moving around. And this brings me to my next point, which is to set clear goals. One of the mistakes that I made when I was still in my 20s was I really didn't know what I wanted to do. My undergraduate degree was in marketing and I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I just took whatever job that I got first, and I just kept on working as long as I was making a decent amount to pay for my bills without really setting any goals. And so I stayed stagnant for quite a while without really having any goals. I'll just go to work, do my job, get paid, and repeat the same thing. When I then decided that I didn't want to stay doing customer service for the rest of my life, I then started setting short-term goals to say, you know what, I don't know what I really want to do in terms of my career, But whilst I'm still in this organization, I'm going to set some goals for myself to grow. And then at some point, I got into learning and development. After getting into that, I became a team manager because I was now setting some sort of short-term goals instead of just going to work for the sake of going to work. That's around the same time I also decided to pursue my master's program. So at least now, even though I was working, I was just using my money to pay my bills, to go out, to buy clothes, to buy shoes, to buy bags, to buy myself nice things. Then when I set my goals, I decided, okay, I wanted to take a master's program. So my money now also had goals. And so I know that sometimes it's not easy when you're out of school to kind of decide what it is that you want to do, what path you want to pursue. You don't have to know the entire picture, but set some sort of short-term goal. Even the Bible says, write the vision, make it plain. And so you need to know what you want to do, at least in the short term. The next and probably the biggest mistake I made in my 20s was not negotiating my salary, not having salary conversations, not talking about money. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes a lot of young people make, and I hope you don't have to make this mistake. I was just a shy, naive, quiet girl who was afraid to talk about money, and I just took whatever was offered to me and I ran with that. And even though it wasn't enough, I made it work. Thank God for provision and thank God for sustaining me throughout those seasons. But now when I look back, I'm like, wow, how did I survive? Like when I first came to Canada, I was probably making like $50,000 a year. And I'm looking back now and I'm like, how was I able to survive on that and live on my own? Because I rented my own apartment in Toronto. Because I felt like I was married to that organization, I wouldn't leave. I stayed in that organization getting paid this, very limited amount of money. And because I didn't really have goals, I also wasn't pursuing anything else. You can see how everything is just like one big web that is connected together. Anyway, when it comes to salary negotiation, I think this is a skill that if you learn right from the beginning, you're gonna be set. You're gonna start making good money at a younger age, and you're gonna achieve certain things at a younger age. I think one of the best things you can do for yourself is do your research. Find out how much people are getting paid in the kind of work that you do or you desire to do. Don't attend interviews blindly and just accept every salary that is offered to you because you're excited to finally get a job. There are websites that you can use to get information on salaries, and you can benchmark yourself what they're offering you against the industry standard. I do have videos dedicated to salary negotiation, and in those videos I go into more detail in terms of how to do salary research, how to have the conversations, the kind of languaging you should use. Because I've worked as a recruiter, and I will tell you this, when I'm having a conversation with somebody about money or about salary, I can tell whether the person is really confident in what they're saying or the person is just trying their luck and they're just throwing out figures and want to see if it sticks. So it's really important that you tackle salary negotiation conversations or negotiations strategically. When it comes to your career, you cannot isolate yourself and, just do your own thing and think that you're going to succeed and excel. You'll be in your own little bubble thinking that you're doing really well, and then one day you will realize that, oh, what you thought was a good salary is probably 10K less than what someone else is making. And this brings me to my next point, which is networking. One of the mistakes that I made in my 20s was not networking. I just did my own thing, thought I was killing it. I thought I was doing so well. I stuck to the same group of people that I knew who were in the same situation as I was, and that didn't help me anything. Because if you hang out with people who have one closed mindset, you're never going to see things from a different lens. You're never going to see things from a different opinion that's going to help you. So as much as I was stuck in this organization that I was in, and I knew that I was not happy, I was not enjoying it, I wanted more, I didn't step out and speak to people who have progressed beyond where I was. I only spoke to the people that were in the same situation as me, and we would just lament and complain about it together. And at that point in time, it felt good. But now that I think of it, it did help or benefit me in any way. At the point in time when I then decided to say, you know what, I need to step out of my comfort zone, I need to build relationships, is when I realized that, oh, there's a whole thing called networking where you can connect with people, they can tell you about opportunities, they can refer you to jobs, they can discuss money with you, and they can tell you what they're making. You can share what you're making, and you will realize that you are significantly or grossly underpaid. And you know, that was a major lesson for me in my 20s. I didn't even have mentors or people that I looked up to. And when I look back, that's also tied to the fact that I didn't really have goals for my career. So how am I gonna have a mentor if I don't have goals? Because how am I gonna pick a mentor or pick the right person if I don't know where I'm going? So everything is really linked. You need to have some sort of goals in order to know who you should be connecting with in that season. Networking, building, and cultivating relationships, it's really an integral part of your career if you want to succeed, especially in Canada. Get out there, connect with people online, connect with people on LinkedIn, connect with people even in your local church, in your community. Talk to people. I used to be the kind of person that did not feel comfortable sharing. I would stick to myself and not share what's going on in my life. And then I realized, you know what? I lose nothing from telling the next person, oh, this is what's going on with me. If anything, they might point me in the right direction. Now, I'm not saying go about telling everybody your business. You do need to display a certain level of wisdom and discernment to know that, okay, I should be sharing this with this person. But if you feel like, you know, this is somebody that can be trusted, 100% tell them what's going on with you. And you'll be surprised that people are actually willing to help if you ask them. One thing I've learned about Canada is if you act like you know it all and you don't ask questions, people will leave you like that. But if you ask questions, if you ask the right questions, people are always willing to help. The last mistake I'm going to talk about, and this is probably one of the most important things every person who has just graduated, everyone in their 20s should work on, is building your personal brand. Building your online presence, building your personal brand can actually go a long way in presenting opportunities for you and taking you ahead when you're in your 20s, because in terms of your experience, you're still a bit limited. You probably just graduated. You maybe have like 3, 4, 5 years of experience. And so you might not qualify for more senior roles. But if you actually leverage your personal brand and put out content that is based on you being a thought leader and become known for something, that can actually speak for you when your experience can't speak for you. I remember being stuck in my first job and thinking, I don't like being here. I don't want to be in this organization anymore. You know, I've already grown to become a team manager. There's probably nothing left for me here. Then I decided to start working on my LinkedIn. That was probably in 2017 or 2018. And LinkedIn wasn't like a big deal then. People were just starting to get into it. But I took my shot. I updated my LinkedIn, optimized it, started becoming active. And that is when my life changed. Literally, the trajectory of my life changed as a result of me putting myself out there, starting to build my personal brand. And then this recruiter reached out to me and my life changed for the better. I got a job in recruitment, you know, went through that whole pivot and pivoted from a career in sales and customer service into recruitment. And the rest is history. And when I decided to relocate from Malaysia to Canada, when I got to Canada, the first thing that I did was get onto LinkedIn. I reached out to a hiring manager, and that's how I got my first job in Canada. And every other job I've had after that has also been as a result of recruiters reaching out to me on LinkedIn because of my personal brand. And so if you can take one thing from this video, I would say it's the fact that you need to start building your personal brand from your 20s. I also have specific videos on how you can optimize your LinkedIn and how you can use LinkedIn to basically work for you whilst you sleep, and other resources that I'll put in the description box. But yeah, those are pretty much the biggest mistakes I would say I made in my career. And you can see how they're all intertwined, from the fact that I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I stayed in one organization for the longest time. And I also had like some mindset issues. I felt like they owed me because they had given me my first job. And because of that, I also didn't ask for more money. And then I didn't build my online presence. So I really hope that you can learn from these mistakes that I made when I was still up and coming in my 20s, and you can do better. If you found this video helpful or insightful at all, please give it a thumbs up, like it, leave a comment saying what mistakes you made in your 20s if you're past that, or even if you're still in your 20s, what are some of the mistakes that you have made that you're trying to recover from. God bless you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.